The winds howled across the icy plains of Thylos, a deadly alien planet where temperatures dropped low enough to freeze skin in seconds. Captain Ray Carter, a lone human explorer, tightened the seals on his thermal tent and checked the heating. Unit again. It was working, but barely. His breath fogged in the air, and frost already clung to the inner walls. Outside, it was a frozen wasteland of sharp rocks and endless snow. Ray had spent the past 3 months mapping this planet for the Earth Coalition. It was lonely work. He had not seen another human in weeks. The planet was supposed to be uninhabited. No colonies, no towns. Nothing but dangerous weather and silence. He sat down and poured himself a packet of hot synthetic soup, hoping to keep warm through the night. The tent lights flickered from the wind's pressure. He ignored it until he heard it. Scratch, scratch. It was faint. Like claws brushing against the outer layer of the tent. He froze. Then again. Scratch. Tap. Ray stood slowly and grabbed his sidearm. He stepped to the tent flap and opened the outer layer carefully. Cold wind rushed in, biting at his skin. But that wasn't what made him gasp. There, half buried in the snow, was a figure. Small, curled up, shaking. A girl. No, not human. Her skin was pale violet, almost glowing under the weak light. Long silver hair stuck to her face, and her body trembled violently. She wore nothing but torn fabric and metallic straps. She looked up at him with wide, glowing eyes and then collapsed. Ray didn't think. He dropped to his knees, scooped her up, and pulled her inside. Inside the tent, heat blasted through the emergency setting. Ray wrapped the girl in every thermal blanket he could find. Her skin was like ice. She wasn't speaking, only mumbling strange sounds in a language he didn't understand. But her face, it was full of fear. Hey, you're okay now, he said gently. You're safe. Her eyes opened slightly. She stared at him like she didn't understand. Or maybe she didn't trust him. Can you talk? He asked. She blinked. Then whispered, warm. Ray nodded and gave her a sip of water. You'll be warm soon. He looked closely at her features. She was young, maybe his age or a little younger. Her body was too thin, like she hadn't eaten properly in days. But there was something strange. Not just her alien features, but a faint glow under her skin. It pulsed gently, like light trapped inside her veins. Who are you? Ray asked. His voice low. She didn't answer. Instead, she tried to sit up. Her arms were weak, but she grabbed his wrist tightly. Her eyes wide. Then she spoke one word, clear and sharp. Run. Ray stared at her. Run? From what? She shook her head and tried to stand, falling again. Her breath was fast and scared. Her hand pointed toward the scanner near the tent wall. Ray turned to look. His blood went cold. The scanner was flashing red. Movement, multiple life forms. Approaching fast. He'd seen no signs of life on this planet for weeks. No signals. No ships. And yet now, 10 life forms were closing in fast and silent. Ray rushed to turn off the lights. The tent went dim, lit only by the soft glow of her skin. What are they? He whispered. She shook her head and whispered, they hunt. Heat. Rays. Heart pounded. He immediately lowered the tent's heat signature to minimum. He wrapped the girl tighter and dimmed the power source. The tent fell silent, only the sound of breathing. Then a shadow passed the tent wall. Ray held his breath. So did she. Another shadow. Then a metallic scraping sound. Something brushed the side of the tent. Slow, deliberate. Ray gripped his pistol. His hands were shaking. His eyes met hers, and to his surprise she wasn't afraid anymore. Her eyes narrowed. She nodded slowly. Ray didn't know who she was. He didn't know what was out there. But he knew one thing for sure. She brought something dangerous with her. And now, they were both part of it. The wind outside the tent screamed like a living thing, but inside, everything had fallen silent. Captain Ray Carter crouched beside the glowing alien girl, his pistol ready, breath shallow. The warning she had whispered, "They hunt heat," echoed in his mind like a pulse of fear. Outside, faint shadows moved, large, slow, deliberate. Ray turned off his scanner, fearing the light would give them away. The temperature inside dropped. Fast, he could already feel his fingers growing numb. But the girl Ishari, as he later learned, seemed stronger now. Her skin glowed gently in the dark, not from heat, but from something deep inside her. She looked at him with serious eyes. "They smell fear and warmth. Stay still." Ray nodded. Then came the first sound of thud, followed by a long dragging noise like claws over rock. Something huge circled the tent, then another, then a whisper. Not words, just breath. Ray tightened his grip on the gun, but Ishari grabbed his hand. "No use. They are cloaked, and your bullets won't work." Ray looked at her. "Then what do we do?" She stared forward. "We wait, or we run. But if we run, we must run now." Ray hesitated. Then she reached into her shredded clothing and pulled out something that looked like a broken stone, but it pulsed faintly. "What is that?" "Beacon disruptor," she said. "If I power it, they can't trace me." "Then do it." Ray whispered. She hesitated. "It's broken. It can only work once. I was saving it for my ship." Ray didn't ask more. He reached forward, placed his own power cell against the device, and pushed the charge in. Ishari's eyes widened. The rock blinked blue. Then the shadows outside paused. Suddenly, the temperature dropped even further. The wind stopped. Ray's breath caught. He could see their outlines now, tall, armored, and inhuman. But they were disoriented. The device worked. Ishari stood weakly. "This is our only chance." Ray grabbed his coat, threw it around her, and pulled her toward the exit. He tore open the flap and froze. Right outside stood one of the hunters. At least 8 feet tall, 4 glowing red eyes, breathing tubes on its shoulders, and long, serrated blades for arms. Ray pointed his gun, but the hunter didn't move. The device was confusing it. Ishari whispered, "Go." Now they ran, slipping across the frozen rocks, falling through snow, running with frozen air burning their lungs. The hunter roared behind them. The device blinked faster, failing. Ray didn't look back. He just followed her. They reached a cave, deep and black. Ray helped her inside just as the disruptor died with a soft beep. Silence returned. Ray dropped to the stone floor, panting. "You want to explain now?" Ishari looked down. Her voice was tired. "I didn't want to bring them to you. I thought I could hide before they trapped me." Ray blinked. "So who are they?" She closed her eyes. "They're not people. They're constructs, machines grown with flesh. They're made to hunt experiments." Ray felt a chill deeper than the cold outside. "Experiments like you?" She nodded. "I escaped from a lab. They created me there, not to live but to evolve. I was the only one who survived." Ray leaned back, shocked. "Why come to me?" She hesitated again. "Because I found your signal. I knew humans were different. You help people." Ray chuckled bitterly. "Not all of us. But you helped me," she said quietly. "You didn't even know who I was." He looked at her. "You were freezing to death. That's all I needed to know." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ishari looked up. "They will come again. More of them. We must leave Thalos." Ray sighed. "I've got a shuttle a few kilometers from here. But fuel's low." She nodded. "If I link my core to your ship, I can boost its drive." Ray blinked. "You can do that?" She gave a weak smile. "I'm more than I look." Ray stood up and checked his pack. "Then let's survive long enough to prove it." Outside, the red lights began blinking again. The hunters had found their trail. But now, The hunters would learn that humans don't run forever, especially not when they're protecting someone. To be continued in Part 3. The Truth Beneath Her Skin. The cave was dark and cold, but safer than the open wasteland behind them. The hunters were still searching. Ray could feel it in the air. Every few minutes he thought he heard distant, mechanical growls echoing off the icy cliffs. But Ishari sat calmly near the cave wall, her silver hair glowing faintly in the dark. Ray crouched beside her. "You said you were made in a lab. You want to explain that now?" Ishari didn't answer right away. She lifted her left arm and pulled back the sleeve of the torn wrap she wore. What Ray saw made him lean in, eyes wide, beneath her violet skin. Was something not fully flesh, not fully machine either. There were glowing lines, thin and smooth like silver veins, running across her arm. In the center of her wrist was a small circular node, gently pulsing with light. She looked at him. "I'm not just an experiment, Ray. I was their project." He frowned. "What does that mean?" "I was born organic like you. But they changed me, enhanced my nervous system, connected me to an energy matrix. I became their prototype for something worse. A living key." Ray's mind raced. A key to what? She turned her arm and tapped the pulsing node. It blinked faster. A soft blue projection appeared above it, a star chart. Not just any star chart. Ray recognized some of the coordinates. "That's a jump map," she nodded. "It leads to a hidden world. One that doesn't show up on any navigation systems. That's where they keep the others. The ones who didn't escape." Ray stared at the floating stars. "You were trying to find help." "No," she whispered. "I was trying to lead them away." That hit him like a cold slap. "You used me?" "No," she said quickly. "At first, yes, I just needed a warm place to hide, to let the beacon fade. But you saved me. You didn't have to. And when you gave me your power cell, I realized something." She leaned closer. Her voice was soft. "You're not like them. The scientists, the hunters, even my kind, they've learned fear. You saw a stranger and gave her your last warmth." Ray looked away. Anyone would've. "No," she said, "not on this planet. Not with what's hunting me." The projection faded. Ray asked, "So what now?" She looked serious. "If we can reach that hidden planet first, we can shut their systems down, free the others, destroy the experiments. But I can't get there alone." Ray stood, slowly pacing the cave. "So you need a human," she nodded. "They locked the map with human genetic coding, to make sure we couldn't run without one." Ray rubbed his face. "You picked the right tent then." She smiled weakly. "Or the wrong one. You still have a choice." Ray stared into the darkness. He thought of his quiet life, the peace of being alone. Then he looked at her, half-starved, glowing faintly, hunted and still strong enough to fight back. "No," he said. "I don't. Not anymore." Suddenly a noise came from outside. A sharp pulse like sonar hit the cave wall. Ray grabbed his weapon and whispered, "They're back." Ishari's eyes glowed brighter. "They're tracking the star map energy." Ray cursed, "Then shut it off." "I can't," she said. "Once it activates, it runs until complete." The cave trembled. A deep metallic thump came from above. "They found us," Ray said. "Move!" They ran toward the narrow exit on the other side of the cave. Jagged ice blocked part of the way, but Ishari extended her hand and light shot from her palm. The ice melted instantly. Ray blinked. "You never told me you could do that." She looked over her shoulder. "There's a lot I didn't tell you." As they sprinted into the night again, Ishari whispered something almost too quiet to hear. Ray glanced at her. "What was that?" She looked at him with strange sadness. "They didn't just make me a key, they made me a weapon. If they catch me again, I don't come back the same." Ray didn't say anything for a long moment. Then he reached down, took her hand and said, "Then they won't catch you." Far above them, high in Thallo's orbit, something massive uncloaked, a hunter mothership. Shaped like a floating ribcage, glowing red dot inside. Cold alien eyes watched them run. They were no longer interested in just the girl, now. They wanted the human 2. To be continued in Part 4, The Hunters. Arrive asterisk, the night sky above Thallos split open like a wound. From the silent void, the hunter mothership descended, massive and terrifying, shaped like the skeletal ribcage of a long dead god. Its surface glowed with red runes, each pulsing like a heartbeat. No engines, no fire, just silent death, drifting down through the frozen clouds like a predator falling on prey. On the ground, Ray and Ishari had just reached a ridge overlooking a frozen canyon. They ducked behind jagged rocks, gasping for breath. Ray's hand trembled as he looked at the sky. That thing wasn't in orbit before. They don't reveal it, Ishari whispered, her voice tight. Unless they know they're close to the target. Ray stared at her. You mean us? She nodded. A low-frequency hum began to rise from the mothership. It shook the ice beneath their feet. Cracks spread across the canyon below. Ray gritted his teeth. They're scanning again. No, Ishari said. This time, they're sending them down. A red beam fell from the mothership like lightning, crackling, buzzing, and opening into a swirling portal of fire and ice. From it came the hunters. 7 of them, tall, armored in black plates that shimmered like liquid shadow. Their limbs were unnatural, stretching, reshaping. Their eyes glowed red like dying suns. They didn't walk, they stalked. One of them crouched and sniffed the air. Ray ducked. They can smell us? Not smell. Sense, Ishari said. They read body energy, thoughts, pain, anything human or hybrid, they find it. Ray turned to her. Then we're not hiding. No, she said. We're fighting. Suddenly, one hunter raised its head and howled. The sound wasn't natural. It was a mix of metal tearing and a beast dying. The sky itself seemed to shudder. Ice cracked in every direction. Then it ran straight toward them. Ray stood and opened fire. His plasma shots hit the hunter in the chest, but instead of falling, it absorbed the energy. It roared louder and picked up speed. Ray! Ishari! Shouted. He grabbed a flash grenade and threw it just as the creature leapt. The burst of light blinded the hunter midair. It crashed into the ridge beside them, sending rocks flying. Ishari jumped forward, her hands glowing. She slammed her palms into the hunter's chest, and energy exploded outward. The hunter screamed and flew back, hitting the frozen ground with a loud thud. Ray stared at her. You didn't tell me you could fight like that. Ishari was breathing hard. I wasn't sure I could. More hunters approached, forming a circle. Ray backed up, checking his ammo. We're surrounded. Not yet, she said. Then she pressed her hand to her chest right over the glowing node. Ray saw something activate under her skin. Her glow intensified. Strange symbols appeared on her arms and neck. What are you doing? He asked. She didn't answer. She stepped forward. The hunters stopped moving. One of them tilted its head, as if recognizing her. She spoke in a strange language, harsh and rhythmic. The leader of the hunters stepped forward, scanned her, then let out a deep growl. He says I belong to them, she translated, that I'm their property. Ray aimed his gun. You belong to no one. The hunter moved fast, too fast. It slammed Ray aside like a ragdoll. His body hit the ground hard, and he groaned in pain. Ishari's eyes blazed. Her glow turned white-hot. She didn't speak. She screamed, and everything changed. A shockwave erupted from her body, tossing all 7 hunters backward like leaves in a storm. Rocks shattered. The ice cracked beneath their feet. The ground glowed with the same runes as her skin. Ray blinked, barely conscious, as he watched her hover off the ground slightly, her hair floating, her hands blazing with energy. She was no longer just a girl. She was something built for war, but the power didn't last. As Hari dropped to her knees, blood running from her nose. Her glow flickered like a dying light. Ray crawled to her. "Hey, stay with me." She looked at him, her voice weak. "I burned too much. I need time." Ray lifted her into his arms. "We're leaving." "But, no, we're not dying here." Behind them, the hunters started to rise again. Damaged, but not dead. Their bodies reassembled. Bones cracked back into place. Red eyes reignited. Ray didn't stop. He ran toward the frozen cliffs. Suddenly, a blaster shot rang out from the sky. One of the hunters exploded. Ray looked up. A small scout ship was flying in fast, autopiloted, responding to his remote beacon. He laughed. "About time." The ramp opened mid-air. Ray jumped with Ishari in his arms. They landed hard, the ship shaking. Ray slammed the door. "Punch it!" he yelled. The ship roared upward, engines flaring. Below, the hunters howled. The mothership slowly turned, following them with ancient rage, but they were gone. For now. As the stars stretched into long lines through the warp tunnel, Ishari lay still, her head on Ray's lap. He stroked her hair. "You okay?" Her voice was faint. "They'll chase us." Ray smiled bitterly. "Then let them. We've got secrets too." She looked up at him with tired eyes. "You still don't know what I am." He met her gaze. "You're the only thing keeping me alive right now. That's enough." She gave him a soft smile. Outside, the stars burned bright, but behind them, something darker burned brighter. To be continued in Part 5, The Map Inside Her. The ship drifted through the darkness of space, leaving the frozen hell of Thalos far behind. But peace was an illusion. Ray knew that now. The stars looked calm, but danger was chasing them, and the answers were sitting quietly in the medical bay, breathing softly under a silver blanket. Ishari was unconscious. Her body pulsed faintly with light, just enough to show she was alive. Ray sat beside her, his face bruised and cut from the fight. He watched the glow inside her skin, silver veins beneath violet, flesh moving slowly like data through a living circuit. He wasn't a scientist, but even he could tell. She wasn't built to survive, she was built to hold something. And that something had just been activated. Ray stood and accessed the ship's systems. The emergency medical scan was still running. It showed strange readings. Her body was layered flesh, metal, and something else. A third layer made of energy signals, arranged in patterns. And in the center of her chest, where the node was, the ship's scanner displayed a blinking warning. Foreign core detected. Locked map interface embedded in host. Ray leaned forward. "Map?" the console responded. "Encoded star path. Classification: Forbiddens. Genetic key required: human." Ray's heart skipped. She hadn't been lying. Inside her, buried beneath skin and circuits, was a map, but not just a map of space. It was something more. A star path, possibly a forgotten corridor through folded space, an ancient route, maybe even to another dimension, or to a hidden world. He activated the hologram. A projection rose from the console, lines of stars, marked gates, and swirling points of gravity no human map had ever shown. One planet glowed red. Ray tapped it. Target: Zaros Prime, Biotech Origin World. Location: classified by Tenebrae Syndicate. Access: locked. Ray's jaw clenched. Tenebrae. He had heard that name. A secret empire hidden beneath the galaxy's surface. They didn't trade goods. They traded creations, living ones. Experiments, slaves, weapons. And Ishari had escaped from them. Behind him, Ishari groaned. Ray rushed to her side. "Hey, you're back." She blinked slowly. "Where are we?" "Safe," he said softly. "For now." She looked at his hand, still holding hers. "You stayed." He nodded. "You didn't tell me you had a star map inside you." She gave a weak smile. Would you have let me in if I had? Ray paused. Honestly, yeah, just would have brought a bigger gun. She laughed faintly. Then she looked serious. You activated it, didn't you? Ray nodded. I had to. I wanted to see what they were after. And now they'll never stop. I figured that too. She sat up slowly. That map doesn't just show where they come from. It shows where they're going. What they plan to build next. Ray frowned. You mean this whole thing isn't over? It never was. I wasn't just carrying a map. I was carrying proof of what they did. Of what they're planning to do to other worlds. Ray looked at her glowing skin. You said I was the key. You are, she whispered. Only humans can unlock the failsafe hidden at the final coordinates. It was designed that way. In case their creations turned against them. Ray leaned back, processing it all. So, you're asking me to follow this map to a secret world run by monsters, where I have to use my DNA to shut down some ancient system that could kill us both? She nodded once. Yes, Ray scratched his head. I've had worse weekends. The ship's proximity alert suddenly beeped. Ray ran to the console. We've got a trail ping. Did they find us? Ishari asked. No, it's not from the hunters, Ray said slowly. It's a distress signal, faint, old human frequency. Ishari stood, still weak. Where is it coming from? Ray showed her. An asteroid field ahead. It's marked on your map too. Looks like one of the hidden points. Her eyes widened. That's not an accident. It's one of their storage sites, places they hid failed experiments, left them to die. Ray set course toward it. Then maybe someone survived. She looked at him. You're really doing this? He glanced at her. You brought a war into my tent. What am I gonna do? Ignore it. Ishari smiled. Then you should know some of the things stored there are asleep, Ray smirked. Neither am I. As the ship entered the glowing mist of the asteroid belt, the map inside Ishari began to pulse faster. Stars aligned. Paths opened. The real journey was just beginning. To be continued in Part 6. The escape plan *. Ray's ship crept silently through the asteroid field, its lights off, hull cold, engine at bare minimum power. Jagged rocks the size of houses drifted past, shadows swallowing starlight. Somewhere inside this maze was the Tenebrae Syndicate's forgotten vault, a graveyard of failed experiments, buried secrets, and maybe survivors. But Ray knew better than to trust silence in space. Behind silence, something always waited. Ishari stood behind him on the bridge, her eyes glowing faintly. Her body was still recovering from the energy surge, but her mind was alert. This place, she whispered, staring out the viewport. It's older than you think. Ray glanced at her. It was on your map. What is it really? She took a deep breath. A prison, a research site. When their creations became unstable or developed free will, they dumped them here. Ray gripped the controls tighter. You mean like you? She looked down. Worse, they didn't just test us, they tried to erase us. The ship's sensors beeped a faint signal. Barely a whisper. Ray enhanced it. A human distress code decades old, weak, repeating. Help. Please, anyone. Still alive. Ray's jaw clenched. Someone's in there. Ishari nodded. Or something wants us to think that. Still, Ray guided the ship toward the signal's origin. Between two massive asteroids was a hollowed-out space station, broken and dead, floating like a tomb in zero gravity. Its hull was scarred, half-melted, and its docking ports looked like open mouths with missing teeth. Ray docked cautiously. Ship locked in with a loud hiss. The airlock opened. They stepped inside. The station was dead quiet. No lights, no gravity. Just the sound of their boots on metal and the soft hum of Ishari's glow. Ray raised his gun. Stay close. They moved through dark hallways covered in frost. Every few meters, strange marks appeared on the wall, scratches, claw trails, symbols in alien language. The deeper they went, the more twisted everything looked. Then they found the source of the signal. A broken console, still blinking. Ray bent over it. It's on a loop. Whoever sent this. They're not here anymore. Ishari looked around. They wanted someone to come. The metal creaked behind them. Ray spun. A tall figure stepped out of the dark. It wasn't human, but it wasn't fully alien either. Its body was covered in cybernetic scars. Its face half mask, half skin. A strange mechanical device pulsed on its chest. It stared at Ishari and whispered, "One of us." Ray raised his weapon, but Ishari held up her hand. "Wait," the figure knelt slowly. "They never stopped watching us." Ishari's voice trembled. "How many are left?" "Few," the being rasped. "Scattered, hiding, waiting for escape." Ray frowned. "Then we bring them with us." The hybrid shook its head. "If we leave, they follow. You carry the map. You carry the key." Ray stepped back. "They know?" "They always knew," the hybrid said. "You activated the gate." "They sent a beacon. They are coming," Ray cursed. "We walked into a trap." "No," Ishari said, eyes burning. "We became the trap." They ran back to the ship, warning lights flashing now. Something had been triggered. From deep inside the vault, engines powered on. Ray looked back through the glass. 3 hunter pods were rising from beneath the asteroid bed, slim, spear-like ships meant for high-speed boarding. Ishari activated her internal systems. The map interface opened. Her eyes turned white as she accessed the core. "Ray," she called out. "I can power the ship for a short burst, enough to jump." Ray nodded. "Do it." The ship rumbled as her energy linked with the drive. Outside, the hunter pods launched. Ray took the helm. "They're fast, but not faster than me." The ship twisted through the asteroid field, dodging debris, engines burning bright with stolen biotech power. Alarms screamed as the pods closed in. One got too close. Ray spun the ship upside down between 2 rocks, and the pods slammed into the asteroid, exploding in a flash. "To left," he shouted. "Get to open space," Ishari gasped. "I'll lock the jump." Ray punched forward. The gravity pressed them into their seats. The stars opened a head warp lane stretching. "Now!" Ishari screamed. Ray hit the jump. The ship vanished into light, leaving behind the trap, the pods, and the vault. But not for long. In the dark of space, the Tenebris mothership received the signal. A new target had emerged. The map had been activated. And, worse, the weapon had bonded with the human. The chase was no longer about capture. Now it was about control. To be continued in Part 7, More Than Just a Refuge. The stars streaked past Ray's ship as it exited warp. But this time, there was no relief, no breath of safety. Only silence. Ray sat in the pilot's seat, gripping the controls tightly. Behind him, Ishari was unconscious again, this time from pure exhaustion. Her body had powered the jump beyond safe limits. The ship's systems were failing one by one. Shields gone. Life support low. Fuel nearly empty. But it didn't matter, because they had arrived. Before them floated a planet unlike any Ray had ever seen. It shimmered with blue and silver rings, surrounded by a field of broken satellites and silent watchtowers. No lights. No movement. But Ishari's map confirmed it. This was the final point. The place where she was created. The place where everything had begun. Zaros Prime. A world erased from charts. Because it was never meant to be found again. Ray guided the ship through the debris and landed near a forgotten outpost, half submerged in snow, half buried under time. The landing gear creaked as they touched down. Ray stood and gently lifted Ishari into his arms. Her skin flickered faintly like a failing star. He carried her out into the freezing wind. The outpost door scanned. Him automatically, a voice whispered, "Genetic key accepted." "Welcome back, Administrator." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's new." Inside, the lights powered on. Warm air returned. For the first time in days, he felt heat on his skin. He placed HFY on a medical table and activated the healing pod. The AI voice spoke again. "Host identified. Hybrid Series 7. Energy core unstable. Initiating preservation." Ray watched as the pod closed, surrounding her with light. "She's not just a hybrid," he said quietly. "She's everything they feared." The AI responded, "She is. Hope and danger, like you." Ray sat down, tired, aching, but not done yet. "Why me?" he asked. The AI's reply was instant. "Because only humans choose freedom, when given the power to control." Hours passed. Then the alarm sounded. The sky lit up with red fire. The mothership had found them. Ray grabbed his weapon and stepped outside. The massive shadow filled the sky above. Dozens of hunter pods rained down from orbit like burning meteors. But this time, Ray wasn't running. He turned back to the outpost and spoke to the AI. "Open the vault." "Vault access requires dual authorization," it replied. "HFY has the second key," Ray said. "Use my link, wake her." Inside the pod, HFY stirred. Her eyes opened fully silver now. "I feel them," she whispered. "They're afraid. Of what?" Ray asked. She stood up, stronger than before. "Of what happens when we're not afraid anymore." Together, they stepped out into the cold. The hunters landed tall, armored, hissing. But this time Ray didn't raise his gun. He raised his hand, and the outpost behind them opened its core, releasing a surge of ancient light. The real purpose of the facility wasn't research. It was resistance. A final failsafe that the combined energy of every failed experiment, every suppressed voice, every stolen life stored in the planet's core for one purpose: revenge. HFY stepped forward, her skin glowing like a sun. "This ends now," she said. The hunters charged. She raised both hands and the sky cracked open. Blades of energy rained down, striking the enemy one by one. Ray fought beside her, plasma rifle blazing, shouting orders, dodging blasts. For the first time, the hunters faltered. And then, something strange happened. The remaining hybrids from the vault, half dead, half machine, half forgotten, emerged from hidden places across the planet, drawn by the signal. They fought too, for the first time in their lives. They fought to be free. When the battle was over, the mothership cracked in orbit, splitting into two. It drifted, burning silently, swallowed by its own weight. Ray fell to his knees. HFY caught him, her eyes soft again. "It's over," she said. He looked up at her. "No, it's beginning." Later, in the outpost, the AI systems reactivated fully. Communications went online. Ray sent a message to Earth. "To anyone listening, this is Captain Ray Carter. I found them. And they're not just survivors. They're people. We're bringing them home." He turned to HFY, standing beside him, her hand in his. "Came into my tent, cold, afraid, hunted," she smiled. "And you gave me warmth. Not just with heat, but with something more." Ray grinned. "Kindness? No," she said. "Hope." Far across the stars, on worlds still dark and controlled by the Syndicate, a new signal spread. The weapon had escaped. The human had chosen her, and the galaxy would never be the same again.